Hey boys and girls, this is going to be a polar bear project that is inspired by an artist who lives in Canada. His name is Ted Harrison, and he has been inspired by the life and the wildlife and culture around him in the Yukon. Now the Yukon is a very, very cold place. And a lot of times when we see artwork of places that are very cold, we think of cool colors like blues and purples, but he uses vibrant, bright colors like oranges and pinks and turquoises that we wouldn't normally use when we are depicting somewhere cold. So we're going to use that as our inspiration as we create a habitat for our polar bear, as well as a three-dimensional clay polar bear. We're going to start out with a square piece of paper. Now I'm going to turn it to look like a diamond, and I'm going to bring down the top to the bottom, walk my fingers to the middle and crease it. Then I'm going to pull the points from one side over, and you might have to wiggle around the middle and kind of pull it out in order to crease it and make a nice sharp crease so that I have a triangle. After I do that, I'm going to unfold it. Now this is going to be a triorama. We're going to make a habitat for our polar bear inspired by the color that we see in the paintings of Ted Harrison. So I'm going to start out, and in one of the bottom triangles I'm going to put an X. I'm just putting that there because I'm not going to use that triangle. In the rest of it, my top two triangles are going to be the background. So think of a cold Arctic background for my polar bear. I'm making some wavy lines for mountains and ice caps, and I'm going to add in a circle for a bright sun, and then I am simply going to leave the rest for my painting. Now where I'm showing you the crease, that is actually where the sky or where the background meets the actual ground. Now I'm going to go back, and I am going to use my bright oil pastels. Remember, you get to use bright pinks, yellows, oranges, warm colors that we wouldn't normally associate with a cold Arctic in order to show the colors that Ted Harrison would have used. I am tracing over each of my lines, or right inside of each of my lines, with a bright oil pastel, and I'm also going to color in the sun, or it could be a moon, I guess, if you want it to be, but I'm going to color in my sun with some of those pinks and oranges. Now that I've added the oil pastel, I'm going to get out my paint, and this time I'm thinking of those cool colors, blues, purples, turquoises, and those colors that will really give my Arctic landscape those cool color qualities. Okay, so I'm using blues and purples, and you can have some fun mixing colors as long as you rinse out your brush between every single color. I want my sky to reflect my warm colors, so I'm going to use reds, oranges, yellows, maybe even some pink in my sky in order to make it feel really warm. You can leave some white space because remember, this is the Arctic, so there will be snow. The last thing that I have to paint is the ground. Now I am thinking of maybe an ice cap or even water that a polar bear would live in or live near, because that is their habitat. So I'm going with blues mixed together, very watery, in order to make it look water-like. I'm going to fill in this one last triangle, and remember I'm leaving the other triangle blank. I'm not doing anything to it. Once you're done painting, this needs to lay very, very flat in order to dry. For the second part of this project, we're going to be using some clay. Now this is Model Magic, and when you get your clay, I'm going to twist it to make it into two pieces that are very close to being the same. With one of my pieces, I'm going to cut it in half or pinch it in half. And with my other one, I want to separate it and make one piece a little bit smaller than the other one. So now I have 4 pieces. One is a little bit smaller and the other 3 are pretty close in size. With my first 2, I'm going to roll them between my hands to make like a clay snake or a worm or whatever it is you used to call it when you were playing with Play-Doh. We're going to roll it between our hands. You can pinch it and smooth it out if you need to, as much as you need to, but these are going to be the legs of our polar bear. Once you're happy with those 2 pieces, we're going to take our larger piece that we have, and I'm going to also roll it, but I want it to be more like an egg shape, a little bit thicker and bigger in the middle. My last piece I'm going to roll into a ball, as close to a sphere shape as you can get. Now with that ball, that sphere shape, you're going to use that to make the head of your polar bear. So I'm going to use my 2 fingers to pinch the nose. And this is not an exact art. You're going to pinch it and then pinch the sides just to make kind of a nose shape. There is no perfect to this. This is just a trial and error, so try your best. And if it doesn't work out, you can always roll it back up and try again. That's the beauty of this particular material. So I'm going to keep pinching until I get it exactly the way that I want it. Now after I pinch out the nose, I also need to pinch the ears. So above the nose, I'm going to just kind of take a look, and I'm going to pinch with my 2 ears. Don't pinch it off, but I'm just going to pinch to make that ear shape, so it gives you kind of those curved little cute polar bear ears. Once I've got the head, I'm happy with it and I've got it the way I want it, I'm going to attach it to the body. That is the egg shape that we created. I'm going to put mine towards the top, and I'm just going to wiggle it around and press it together until it sticks. And that is all there is to it. I'm going to smooth down the back just a little bit just to make sure it's good and attached, but that's really all you need to do. You can use your finger to smooth out any wrinkles that might happen, but otherwise, this is a really good start to your polar bear. Next, I'm going to take one of my legs and I'm actually going to wrap it around the back, like a big hug, around the back of my polar bear, and bring those legs to the front. Now, after I do that, I'm going to smooth it down on the back as well as the front to kind of blend those together. When you're happy with that, go ahead and add your other legs. Now you can decide what position you want your polar bear in. I'm making this polar bear sitting up like a little polar bear cub. You could have your polar bear walking, sitting, whatever it is, laying down even. So that's completely up to you. You decide how you want to pose your polar bear. So I'm adding on the bottom legs. I really just curled them up and then sat my polar bear down on top of them. And now I'm going to smooth it all together. Now that you're happy with your polar bear, go ahead and press him down so he will sit or stand, whichever one you like. And he needs to dry for just a little bit before we add the face. When your polar bear is dry and it is time to add the face, we're going to use a Sharpie. Carefully hold your polar bear, and I'm going to add 2 little black dots for the eyes, a black dot for the nose, and this can be an upside down triangle or just a little dot. You can add the line straight down, and for his mouth, just some curled lines at the bottom. Add the black inside of your polar bear ears. And finally, also add some black lines on the paws for the claws. 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. That's all it is. Super easy. Now that we've finished our clay polar bear, it's time to get back out our background. Now this is still laying flat, and I need to cut a line from the bottom point to the middle. Only one line and only to the middle. Do not cut all the way through or cut any shapes out, only a cut from the very bottom point to the middle, and that's it. The reason we're cutting it is because we're actually going to fold this piece of paper up in order to make the triorama, and I'm going to do a little extra folding just to make sure that my painted paper will fold the right way. I'm kind of creasing the back and creasing each side just to make sure that it's going to fold correctly for me. Now I'm going to take my painted side and put it on top of that white side that I put the X on. This is going to be my background. So again, I'm just folding it right up just like that to make kind of a habitat to go behind my polar bear. I'm going to put just one line, and you'll be fine, one line of glue all the way around the edge, and then I'm going to press the bottom together, so both of those pieces of paper together to hold it together. Now you can also staple this or tape this if glue is not available. If you do glue it, give your glue some good stick time by holding it down really nicely. Now there it is, a beautiful triorama to go behind your polar bears. Now we have to put our lovely, really cute polar bears in their habitat, and they will sit right there. It's a great way to display any three-dimensional artwork that you create. I can't wait to see your amazing polar bear sculptures as well as your triorama. Happy creating, guys!